Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a HEXADIN build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a Hexblade Warlock mixed with a Paladin, and I'm going to show you the most powerful combination of these two classes. So the thing that we'll start off with is the Paladin. This gives us heavy armor proficiency. If we start as a Warlock and add the Paladin in later, we don't actually get the heavy armor proficiencies. So we're actually going to go with the Oath of Vengeance. Oath of Crown's the newest subclass. I did a build where we did 11 levels of that and 1 level of the Hexblade, but to make it the most overpowered, Hexblade mixed with the Oath of Vengeance. Now, this is going to be outside of Honor mode. If you want to do this on Honor mode, I would actually recommend using my Oath of the Crown build, because that can stack radiating orbs like no other build can. But for this one, it's going to get 3 attacks with the Pact of the Blade, adding an extra attack. So with the Oath of Vengeance, you get the Inquisitor's Might, which can daze targets. What's nice about daze is it can make it so that your commands and hold persons will be able to hit a lot more likely, because it gets disadvantage on the saving throw for that. Now, for the ability score we're going to roll with, I think it's best to go with something like we want to have our charisma as high as we can, because it's going to be for spell casting and later on. But early game, strength and constitution are going to be important. So something like this can work early game. Once we go all in our charisma rolls, then strength becomes much less important, and we can actually roll around our dexterity and put it to 16 like that. But early game, we're going to be focusing on strength. So later on, once we use charisma for our attack rolls, once we hit level 7 or 6, then we can switch it up, depending on when we want to sub in the Hexblade Warlock. Now, for level 2, Divine Smite, very powerful. We also get a fighting style, which I would recommend defense for the +1 armor class. Although great weapon fighting is nice if we want to use a two-handed weapon, the +1 armor class will always be useful pretty much throughout the entire game. I would recommend taking command. This is a really useful spell for a variety of reasons. I also like to take all the different smites, although I don't recommend always using them. They're just good to have. And bless can be nice early game as well, or even divine favors. Meh. So we'll go cure wounds. There's a lot of concentrations, and we have a much better concentration in Hunger of Hadar. Now, once we get to level 3, we get Divine Health. We also get the Abjure Enemy, but the Vow of Enmity here. So this gives you advantage on attack rolls against an enemy. What's huge about this is we can actually apply it to ourselves and give ourselves 10 turns of advantage on attack rolls. Crazy. We also get ourselves the Oath spells, Hunter's Mark, and Bane. Our best ones will be coming out level 5. And we'll just leave it as that for our spells there. And once we get to level 4, we get ourselves another spell, which is fine. Just take whatever. We get ourselves a feat. Now, this is great because we can increase our strength, but once we get the Warlock added in, we're going to add up our charisma. So strength early game, charisma later game, because we use charisma for our weapon attack rolls and spell casting. Level 5, this is a big power spike. We get extra attack. And we also get ourselves the Misty Step and Hold Person spells, which are both very powerful spells that we want to have. And for our prepared spells, we get level 2 ones, so we can take the Branding Smite. You can even take Aid or Lesser Restoration if you want, or Magical Weapon. Nothing here is like dire that you do need. I mean, protection from poison can be okay. But now once we get to level 6, we could continue to get the Aura Protection, which will give you a +5 bonus to saving throws. They finally fixed this tooltip in patch 8. It'll give your charisma modifier. I'm also wearing a hat, so it makes it +5. But at this point, we can also add in the Warlock, and I'm going to show you for a couple of reasons. So the Warlock, the 2 cantrips we're going to take, Eldritch Blast and Booming Blade. This is nice because this adds our weapon attack plus thunder damage as a cantrip. And for this subclass, we're going the Hexblade. Now, this gives us the shield spell, which is crazy, because then we can use our Paladin spell slots to cast that. We also get our Bind Hex weapon, which will combine with the Pact of the Blade later on. We can apply the Hexblade's curse, which makes it so that we do additional 4 damage. And whenever we roll a critical hit, we have a 5% increased critical hit chance. The Bind Hex weapon is really nice because it gives us basically a 20% chance to apply on our weapon attacks. So we'll take shield, that's really nice. Hellish Rebuke can also be pretty good, or Armor of Agathis to give ourselves some more defensive options. Once we get to level 2, we get Eldritch Invocations. Agonizing Blast and Repelling Blast are just the best. Gives your charisma modifier to damage on your Eldritch Blast and pushback. And for the spells we'll be taking, Hex is okay, you could take Hex. Or Arms of Hadar to stop target from taking reactions. Expeditious Retreat is also really nice too, or Armor of Agathis. We'll go with that there. At level 3, we get ourselves a Pact Boon. I would still recommend Pact of the Blade. Now, I just want to dispel some people are trying to tell me that Hexblade always gets an extra attack. The Hexblade doesn't get an extra attack unless you take Pact of the Blade. Pact of the Blade was actually heavily boosted by Larian in this, and it adds it so that its charisma gets added to your attack rolls. Or your charisma is used for attack rolls. Now, you can only get the extra attack if you do this, so this is what we're going to roll with. This is the Bind Pact weapon. And we get level 2 spells with, I really like Darkness as a spell. This one is extremely useful. We can hide out in darkness and become a menace in it. Mirror Image is also quite nice too, so we could go with that. I'm going to go with Darkness. Clouded Dagger is good too, because it doesn't have a check. The target just takes damage. but darkness is crazy, and I'm going to show you how. So our next cantrip, we can go with Bone Chill to stop the target from getting healing for a turn, and then we'll take our we'll take our Clouded Daggers or Mirror Image spell. And for the feat, ability score improvement's hard to pass up for that 20 charisma. That's just going to be the best choice probably. And once we get to level 5, we get ourselves a Deepened Pact, which gives us at level 10, before the fighter gets his 3 attacks, we get our 3 attacks. And we also get level 3 spells, with Hunger for Dire being a high priority choice. And we can also take our Devil's Sight, which will give us the ability to see in darkness, which is going to be a huge component of our overall power. Now, level 6 of the Warlock, we get the Accursed Spectre. So when we slay a creature that's afflicted with our Hexblade's curse, we raise a Spectre that'll fight alongside us with 44 health. We also get a choice of spell. Counterspell is nice, but we don't get that many spell slots, so it's a little bit difficult to take that. Fear can be nice too, makes targets drop their weapons. I'm going to take Counterspell just because it could be very useful. It's not often it'll be you want to use up your spell slots on it, but sometimes you will. And then we get ourselves we could go to level 4. It's like the Staggering Smite you could go with, and another Eldritch Invocation. However, I think it's best to go 6/6 because then we get the Aura of Protection, gives us a +6 to saving throws, which is really nice. And then all of the spells here, which it does unselect some of the ones that you may have selected previously, so you can add back whatever you want. Now, what's crazy about this is it gets 3 attacks. We do have to bind the Pact weapon, and it depends really what you want to wear for your overall gear, because there's a few different ways we can go about this. So I'm rolling with Birthright Hat, which will give us the 22 charisma, giving us a +6 to our charisma stat. And we got our Cloak of Protection for better armor class. Armor Persistence will give us a 27 armor class with Viconia's Walking Fortress shield or any other +3 shield. This is pretty effective because it will reduce all the damage, give you resistance and blade ward, but disadvantage on stealth. So if you want to be really stealthy, you could go with another armor. Armor Agility with our current dexterity will give you roughly that. The Legacy of the Mask will give us a +2 to weapon, attack, and damage rolls, which is quite nice. However, the best in slots probably Helldusk Gloves, giving us a bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, and fire damage on our attacks. Really good. A late game, the Frost Giant Gauntlets are pretty okay too for extra damage, or even the Dark Justiciar's Gauntlets, because this will give us additional necrotic damage on our attacks. Early game, you could go with the Gloves Dexterity and wear medium armor. It's a few different choices you could roll with. I just think that the Helldusk Gloves is probably the best in slot for this class. And even like Gemini Gloves has some usefulness kind of early, or mid game, I should say. Daredevil Gloves is another choice. Personally, I'm just going to roll with the Helldusk Gloves and the Dexterity Gloves being a good early game alternative. Evasive Shoes for +1 armor class. This gives us a nice 27. I'm using Fowler Alluve as far as the weapon right now. However, there's 2 ways we can go about this. If we really want to, we could go with a strength-based weapon. So you could add in like the Baldur Giant Slayer, which will add strength modifier to damage and attack rolls. Or you could go with the, if you want to go with another one, Sethin the Axe, JoJo's Bizarre reference, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reference. There's also the Sword of Chaos, which will do additional necrotic damage and regain your health. So this kind of fits perfectly with the theme of this. So we're going to go with that weapon there, but personal preference, you could also go with the shield and then use Sacred Star for radiating orbs. The Sharp Spear of the Evening is cool, but we already have Dark Vision. If you want, you can even go like Justiciar Scimitar or the Knife of the Undermountain King with a shield. I'm gonna go with a 2-handed weapon just to show off the max damage we can do. This puts our armor class at 24, but the thing is we don't gotta worry too much because we got darkness to hide out in. So what we'll be rolling with is we want to make sure that we have our bind hex weapon here. So this is going to make it so this is our binded pact weapon. And then we have a lot of different buffs that we can apply. So aura protection, always want that up, giving us a +6 to saving throws. We're not going to get hit with spells too much now because of that. We also got blast, we got mirror image, a lot of different things. So to get things started, I'll show you what combat is going to look like. So to buff ourselves up before we get into combat, if you know we're getting into a fight, mirror image will give you a +9 to armor class. So you get 35 armor class, crazy with a shield, or without a shield. And then also we can apply the vow of enmity here on ourselves. This will give us advantage on all attack rolls, so we're not likely to miss. So nice little buffs there. This does eat up a couple of our spell slots. We don't have many. We have 2 first levels, or 4 first levels, 2 second levels, and 2 third level spell slots. So not that many, but getting into combat. So for our first turn in combat, I think it's never a bad idea to drop a Hunger for Dark. So we could do that, or we can also use darkness to hide out in our darkness. 2 different options. If you need to be more defensive, go darkness. If you need to be more offensive, drop a Hunger for Dark. This is going to give us difficult terrain in the area. Of course, we got counterspelled on that. That's unfortunate. And that burned up our spell slot, so I guess we'll just go with our darkness after all. I don't want to use up all of our level 3 spell slots in case we need another one, but now we got our darkness set up. We use up all of our actions, unfortunately, so all we got left is a possible daze on the target, so I'll just run into the darkness, possibly daze them. On hit, we get healed, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, that was not the best turn one. Now, they'll pretty much completely ignore us in darkness, which is what we want. If you have other teammates members that have like the, you can get a helmet that'll actually give you the ability to see in darkness, so the Steel Watcher helmet, and Sharp Spear of the Evening, which is an evil only item, which will give you the ability to see in darkness, so you can go full darkness with this. But we want to prioritize these high value targets, like these casters here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Divine Smite with our level 1 spell slots. And since we get the 3 attacks per action, that gets really good. And you can see we're actually getting extra damage on it from Divine Smite. It's kind of wild. So this target here is dazed. We could hit them with a command. I should have also mentioned for rings, it's actually probably best to add in the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. So after we do a weapon attack, we can bonus action, command, or hold person. Although this will burn through your spell slots at an alarming rate, so just be mindful of that. But we're going to go save Lady Shadowheart here. So Divine Smite these high health point targets here. And we can go critical hits there if we need to. Getting extra health back on all these attacks just feels really good. So I guess we'll go their deep impact here. Extra attack. Bonk. Taking them all out like it's nothing. That's the most amazing part about the Hexblade is you get so many. We burn through all of our spell slots really quickly, but we do get a lot of extra attacks, which is crazy because then we can just go around cutting everyone down. That saved Shadowheart, so mission accomplished. We could choose a run there. I guess it might not be a bad idea to go back into our darkness to camp out because we'll be safe in here. And then let's go with another attack here. What's also funny is we can get a bow attack there as an option, but this didn't take them out. They still have quite a bit of health, so we want to go with a bonus action ability. So maybe applying the Hexblade's Curse won't be a bad choice, so we'll apply that, and then hopefully get a Spectre to come out whenever we attack it. And we'll send our turn right there. Since we still have a use of our Channel Oath, we could apply Inquisitor's Might. What's nice is this can actually be good early game if you have Radiating Orbs set up, because then you get the Radiating Orbs off of all these hits. But since we got 6 attacks, it's going to be 6 times we'll be applying additional radiant damage. Unfortunately, we lost our darkness because I got the Unstable Blood, which will create a fire surface below us. Since the weapon that I have is fire damage too, that causes it again. We can see there, extra fire damage, extra necrotic, and extra radiant damage is kind of a nice combination on all of our options for damage. This target was running back to attack Shadowheart, so again, we got a protector, so we're just going to run back. We're cool because we can just camp out in our darkness and be pretty safe. We're gaining health as we make weapon attacks on targets. So yeah, this is like a crazy, I should have used a Booming Blade there because yeah, Booming Blade does a lot of damage. So I guess we'll start off with a Booming Blade here because I haven't shown that one yet, but boom. Yeah, it booms. It definitely booms. As you can see there, it does a lot of damage. And then you can always make an extra attack after it, which is pretty sweet. So gives you an extra option every single turn to just go ahead with a Booming Blade. Unfortunately, we didn't get the Accursed Spectre to come out, but anytime that you take out a target that is the Hexblade's Curse, you get a chance for that. But that is a Hexblade, or a HEXADIN Hexblade Warlock mixed with the Paladin. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.